Hey everybody, welcome back to the Journey to Be an Astronaut podcast, where we discuss anything and everything astronaut. Today we're going to be discussing Capcom and the Russian equivalent, a lot of traditions and cultures around NASA and Russia, as well as some memorable moments that make the pursuit of space worthwhile. We've all seen the videos of astronauts floating in space. Behind the daring adventures in space, there are thousands of people working around the clock to make sure the mission is a success. Mission control, engineers, training staff of all aspects, and the thousands of manufacturers that create rockets like the BFR and SpaceX's new rocket, Starship. Mission Control, or Capcom, is responsible for the constant safety of the astronauts. They make standard operating procedures for events that could be unexpected, such as a fire on the space station or trouble with the rocket on its way or on its descent. It's split into two different sections, Flight Control and the Ground Team. The two teams build procedures for common occurrences and mission-specific guidelines. Along with Mission Control in Texas, the Russians have a Mission Control room in Korolev, just outside Moscow. Most importantly, NASA.gov says Mission Control is the visible part, but it's less than 1% of the support team, or just the tip of the iceberg. The engineers and manufacturers, not only at NASA but across the world, apply their technical knowledge to be able to make the miracle missions come to fruition. They make parts for the rockets that are so specific and flush that they won't spark during a launch sequence. They built the Mars rover and moon lander and machined the astronauts' ability to walk on the moon. Without their help, it just wouldn't get done. SpaceX's Starship is looking to carry cargo and people eventually to multiplanetary missions. Starship has 37 Raptor engines and 6 landing legs. That is a lot of hardware and software. A lot of hours after hours of hard work has been put into this thing. I will leave a link below for the Raptor engine test. The amount of testing, prototyping, and rebuilding just to get qualified to fly cargo was extremely strenuous. This was done thanks to the craftsmanship of the machiners in the engineering design department and the safety observers that worked with them. The American Capcom system is located in Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. This is where they most of the on-the-job kind of time is split up kind of unevenly. 71% of it is split up in planning, 10% of it is on missions, and another 15% is on the training. This next segment is from history.nasa.gov. During the Shuttle Mir program, 9 NASA astronauts trained in Russia at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center. 5 Russian cosmonauts underwent training at Johnson Space Center for their shuttle flights as part of the American crews. 9 shuttle crews took 1 week of training in Russia for joint activities with Russian crews on Mir. The Russian primary and backup crews of Mir 20 through 25 underwent 1 week of training at Johnson Space Center. And so the rest of the passage pretty much it goes over the differences in training between Russians and the Americans, and it kind of highlights where they were trying to start connecting in the pre-International Space Station days. And on the way to launch day, for the, all the different astronauts going on to, into space, there's a whole bunch of traditions they follow that Yuri Gagarin did, and a couple of additional ones that have been just added over the years. They don't really know why they do them still, but they do them out of um, some superstition, and some out of kind of ritual and respect. There are a few. I'm getting all this from the ESA website, European Space Agency. So to start off, they sign the visitor's book in Yuri Gagarin's office. It's preserved as a museum in Starcity. And it preserves everything that Yuri left when he took off. On 27th of March, 1968. This was for his ill-fated flight. And then they stay at the Cosmonaut Hotel in Baikonur, which is about 20 minutes from the Cosmodrome. And behind the hotel buildings, there is an avenue of trees. Here, each person that is taking off or is part of a Russian crew, they plant a tree, and it's now been expanded to a park. About 5 days before launch, they raise a flag outside the hotel and visit the museum. The Soyuz launcher with the Soyuz spacecraft already on it gets rolled out exactly 2 days before launch at 7 a.m. specifically. It's considered bad luck for any of the cosmonauts or astronauts to see the rocket roll out, but guests can see it. There were 2 accidents that took place in Baikonur on the 24th of October, so no launches were ever scheduled for that day. And then there's certain things that Gagarin did. They kind of step out on the way, and they take a leak on the bus. Even female astronauts have gotten in this, but they usually just pour some water. I got that from the Endurance book. The ride takes about 40 minutes, and it's the left back wheel. And then before they leave, they get a haircut 2 days before the launch. As well as the night before launch, they watch The White Sun of the Desert, which is a Russian movie. And on launch day, the crew sips a glass of champagne and signs a door to their room at the Cosmonaut Hotel. This has been Journey to Be an Astronaut Podcast. Have an amazing day, stargazers. Stay safe out there.